Watch the entire video, my lovely viewers, to get the whole thing. Without wasting much of your time, let's get right into it.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Hi lovely viewers, it's me again, your one and only Mutati Mpundu. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my channel, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by hitting the subscribe button down below. Turn the bell icon to join the notification squad. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you lovely viewers.
And we usually have a head of state from the region to cover it. So when the president didn't turn up and there was no regional leader to be a special guest of honor, we didn't even have those international musicians we have, people began to speculate. His press singer said, no, you'll be at Gonde Luindi ceremony on Monday because he has been listed as the one that will hand over the house, the palace that has been built at the cost of 4 million, and the president will be doing a physical handover himself. So, they castigated us for being malicious and for asking about the presence of the president. Came Monday for the Luindi ceremony, and the president was nowhere to be seen. He delegated his two ministers, Jack Mwimbu and Lufuma. And remember, we had another huge crisis where there were reported deaths in Mufumbo district at Kikonge Pit and Chiefs Pit, where gold mining has been going on illegally by young people. They've taken advantage, and the reports from government are saying over 25,000 people had gathered in Mufumbo in that small area, and they were digging various pits. Apparently, the amount of gold dust, gold flakes, and gold nuggets were so attractive that it attracted so many people. There are reports that 18 people are feared dead. The number could be higher. There are reports that 2 police officers died. You probably have seen those videos of a policewoman that is lying lifeless, and there's another one. There are those videos circulating, but government insists only 3 people died. They've confirmed about the harm that was done to the police, but they claim that only 11 police officers were harmed, no one died. We've called this activity very, very careless, because you can't send a few number of policemen to go and disperse 25,000 people without notice, and just to use brutal force and tear gas. That in itself created a big crisis, which was, you fire tear gas in a crowd, you create a riot situation. So we have called for an official inquiry, the number of people that are said to have died, including the chief's grandson in the area, are so many, and I think Zambians deserve the truth. This also brings us to an issue of the mining policy. What should we do? You have a huge number of unemployed people. You have up to 10 million people willing to work, but how many are in formal employment? Only about 1 million. What do you do with the 9 million? World Bank statistics and IMF claim these people are doing agriculture and other activities, but that's not formal, secure, decent work. Government must create, industry must create jobs, and that's a crisis we'll be discussing. And like I said, the president finally reappeared after huge speculations. The press singers and his men seem to be very annoyed that Zambians are asking where the president is. It's a legitimate question. President Hakainde himself repeatedly asked about where the president was, his predecessor. It is normal. People wake up at 03, 04 to go and vote for a president. When he's missing, he misses key events without explanation. And remember, this is a president that had said last week that there are too many holidays, and for him there's no holiday. He works every day. He says he works 24/7. So when his press singers began to say, no, he's resting, people were ridiculing them. Just last week you were saying this is a 24/7 president. You were saying there are too many holidays, and you were saying he works all the time. So where is he? Why is he derelict on his duties? These are presidential functions. The Zambia International Trade Fair, for the last 59 years, other than 1 year when Mwanawasa didn't open it in 2007, has always been opened by a Republican president, usually accompanied by a special guest president from the region. It's an international fair, and it attracts people from China, from Singapore, from South Korea, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from the US, from Canada. It only comes once a year. Where was the president? Where was a regional invited guest? We are aware that invitations were sent and invitations were declined. You know, in diplomacy, when you don't answer, you don't have to answer at all. You just keep quiet. So the Secretary of Cabinet had even moved the date because we understood that the guest that he had invited was not available on the set dates of 1st January. So the holidays which host the trade fair were moved and pushed to a week later. Still more, this guest didn't turn up. This was a huge inconvenience to exhibitionists because the people that come to exhibit, the people that come to exhibit sometimes travel and arrive in the country many days before. So imagine pushing the holiday by a week. So the exhibitions couldn't, they were totally, those that were exhibiting were totally inconvenience and added cost were given to them. I am privileged to have on me two special guests. I've got Mr. Patrick Chilufya from the United Kingdom. He's a regular caller to my program, and we invited him to be on this program. And I've got Father Oscar, Donosco, as we call him. Father Oscar Mwansa Pombo is with me, and we will be taking up these discussions, and we'll be having this discussion together. Let me just invite my guest and welcome him. Father, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mwamba. Good evening, Honorable Mwamba. Good evening, the viewers, and good evening, my colleague, Mr.
Yeah. Father,
thank you
there is
very
another matter. There is another matter of concern. We just learned of the Speaker's ruling, where she's ruled that she cannot be swayed by external forces. Can you imagine she's calling a constitutional court judgment an external ruling? We'll be discussing that. The president appeared and made some remarks on the ECL family. I'll bring you on to discuss that. And my dear brother Chilufya from the UK, let me just greet him. My brother Chilufya, good evening and welcome to this program.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba.
It's a pity you can't connect live, so we'll keep you on the phone like this. You join the debate as we go on. So let me just finish my introductory remarks.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. So Chilufya is hanging on the phone. Technology has failed us. You'll be able to join us alongside, and you'll be discussing with us. I will ask him to introduce himself. But Father Pombo, you already know him. We hosted him the other day. The president made some remarks today when he met the president. He says, first of all, he said he has changed things. The state of our nation was terrible. A matter I've always disagreed with him. In fact, things are worse now. The shrinking democratic space, torture against political opponents, mass arrest against political opponents, the laws he has passed, weaponizing, for example, crimes against speech. He literally is outlawing criticism, and the heavy penalties that come with him, including life sentences, are scaring our people. So he has made the environment far worse than he found it. You have people now in exile. You have an environment in our country that's extremely oppressive, and our people are silent. But I was telling the American ambassador, that things are okay. Let me just play those videos as further you organize yourselves and we begin to discuss these topics.
Relationship, government to government, business to business, government to business, and vice versa, and person to person. Thank you very much. So I also thought that it's important that now we are in this space of a reasonable achievement in debt restructuring. In our view, Ambassador, huge achievement from where we were 4 years ago on the rule of law, law and order in the streets, in the bus stops. It was chaotic here. And I can appreciate for those who were not here at the time. I don't think you can imagine what the situation was. It's difficult to imagine, humanly possible. But we're happy that it's not a one-shot solution, it's a process. But we're happy that we're by and large restored law and order. We know we have now new issues lingering around mineral resources, illegal mining, unsafe mining, informal trade. We want to agree with you. These are some of the areas we want to discuss to see how we can manage these areas. But by and large, I'm talking about the rule of law. We set out also to reconstruct the mining sector. So as a major sector, which we always, as a country, have relied on, although we now want to drive diversification, but we cannot leave alone a key sector, such as the mining sector. And for the first time in the history of our country's mining experience, we believe this year will achieve close to, if not 1 million tons of copper. And that's why you see a reasonable appreciation in the local currency, because the supply side of dollars is actually US dollars, I must say, not Canadian dollars, but US dollars. is the flows, the supply side is improving. And it's very important to us who are still largely import dependent that we can improve the supply of dollars. So it's our focal area, as I said, US dollars. I don't have to tell the story. I think you've seen for yourselves the restoration of
Let me just provide a quick update in responding to the president. There's a part we'll play later that I think we have to get the discussion going, where he says he's speaking to the family. I spoke to members of the family. First of all, there are no talks. This is similar to what his minister stated last week. His minister, chief government spokesperson, Cornelius Mwetwa, spoke to SABC and I think ENCA and claimed that they had entered into negotiations with the family. And what did we see? What we saw instead was an amendment to the court process, where we saw the Attorney General making an amendment to the cause in the matter in the Pretoria High Court and demanding that both the family and the South African government surrenders the remains of the late president to President Hakainde Hichilema's government. Now that was very, very shocking. They were no longer in a mood to negotiate. So while Cornelius Mwetwa was informing the South African audience through SABC that they've engaged in negotiations, which were none, they had sent no one. No one had called or phoned or spoken to the family. And from nowhere, we just heard that there was this negotiation. There was none. And what did we see next? Is the Attorney General with an amendment, including the Minister of International Relations in the matter with South African government. And the amended demand was that the remains of the late president must be repatriated to Zambia. The family, the court must compel the family and the South African government to take those remains to Zambia, to President Hakainde Hichilema's government. So today the president has repeated these assertions. They are not true. No one has spoken to the family yet. We are aware from the time the late president died that there are many people informally, either on their own accord or volition, who, wish to speak to the family. But the family has very simple demands, and those demands can only be met by the president. And the president has failed to meet those demands. So what's the purpose of these so-called talks when you can't meet the demands? Heads of states were involved at the beginning. Jacob Zuma was sent, you returned his plane. Zimbabwe sent in the vice president to negotiate with the president, to advise him to honor the wishes of the late president and the wishes of the family. That was spanned. President Cyril Ramaphosa got involved, and the standoff continued, and he had to send his minister to say, we have no choice, but according to our laws, we ought to respect what the law says. And that's what happened. And then they desperately launched that court action, suing the widow and all the children, you know, and one of, I think, the nephews to the late president, and suing the undertaker, the company that was to handle the remains of the late president. And last week we saw they added the South African government through the Minister of International Relations. I think after an uproar and how ill-advised the entire matter was, they made an amendment on Friday and removed the Minister of International Relations of South Africa from the court suit. So as before I came to this broadcast, there are no talks. There are some people that are in South Africa trying to talk, but essentially they are not talks.
This is DJ Mutati exclusive.
Alright, that's all for you today, lovely viewers. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about the video you just watched in the comment section below. I'll be super glad to hear from you, lovely viewers. Once again, I go by the name of Mutati Mpundu. I love you, peace, I gotta go.